Welcome everyone to your weekly IEP training and the first step to becoming a Master IEP Coach. I'm excited to bring you 3 fixes for the IEP that's relevant to what's happening right now in our real world of special education, and of course share with you some special bonuses when you sign up to become a Master IEP Coach. So get ready, take notes, put your questions down below because we're going to jump right in. Today I asked on Facebook and Instagram, I said, what is the biggest frustration in special education that you have right now? And I have an equal amount of parents and teachers that are always chatting with me on social media. And I will tell you that the number one complaint and frustration right now in special education that I'm hearing is communication or lack thereof. So go ahead and tell me, where are you watching from? What's your role at the IEP table? And let's talk about this frustration of what's happening in special education with this lack of communication and what the fix is. I'm going to tell you where to look in the IEP to see if your concerns are being documented appropriately when it comes to this lack of communication. Anybody who has, worked with me before when it comes to IEP knows that I'm not all about a he said, she said, or they said, or this is the rule and this is the law and you have to, and what about, and all of these ifs that happen in special education. We're about concrete solutions. When you look at working with a Master IEP Coach or becoming a Master IEP Coach yourself, you learn to get rid of all of the gray areas and have real conversations about what is happening right now and how we're going to fix that. So the first thing that we're going to look at and that we're going to have to fix when it comes to this communication is jumping over to the section in the IEP for parent input statements. And we need to make sure that there is not an old school parent input statement. I will tell you that will break the communication in an IEP team. Here's what I mean by that. I know I'm jumping right into this, but I'm telling you, if you know what an IEP is, whether your child has it or your student has it, you can open up the IEP. You can go to the document section that says parent educational concerns or something similar to that. There is always a section for parents. And a lot of times that section is filled out in a very, what I call, old school way. That old school way says things like parents don't have many concerns right now. Seriously, do you know any special needs parents that don't have concerns right now? I don't. So that section definitely should not be saying that. I also see sections where parents have their input and it says things like, parent is worried because child keeps leaving jacket on the bus. Yeah, that's not the place for this. All right, so if you are worried about communication on your IEP team, no matter what your role is, whether you are employed by the school and you're sitting at that IEP table, or you are a parent who is at that IEP table, there is some common ground inside of that IEP, and that's inside of the parent input statement. Can you guys go ahead and let me know down in the comments, you ever heard of a parent input statement or the parent educational concerns? Have you checked it lately? Let me know where you stand when it comes to parent educational concerns or parent input statements. Do you know if yours is up to date? And are you using that as a foundation for communicating the expectations that you have for the IEP team for your child or teachers? Are you getting this so you know the expectations that the family has of you? I'm going to step back just for a minute and make sure that we're all on the same page. As we talk about these fixes for the IEP this week, I want you to know that I'm not just coming up with ideas of like, hey, let's try this and see if it works. No, I've been doing this for over 25 years. I'm a special needs sibling. I'm a former special education teacher, and I'm obsessed with the purpose and findings of IDEA law. In fact, I'm the founder of the Master IEP Coach Mentorship, and the entire mentorship is based on this purpose and findings of IDEA law. We all know the first part, that a child's supposed to receive an appropriate education. My version of appropriate could be different than your version of appropriate. That's okay, but unfortunately, that's where a lot of the fights come in. That's where a lot of the negativity and miscommunication and misunderstandings happen. You have to look further inside of that purpose and findings and realize that every IEP is supposed to meet a child's unique needs. And it's also supposed to prepare them for further education, employment, independent living. Remember, I told you that I'm a special needs sibling. I have a brother who has Down syndrome. He's 43. That means I live in the adult world of special education and disability community my entire life. Okay. Like I am absolutely smack dab in the middle of this adult special needs community every day. And I can tell you that I wish that my brother's IEP and his generation that went through school had this focus of further education, employment, and independent living. It wasn't there before. It is there now. The downside is that we're not thinking that way as IEP teams. We're not looking for every piece of the IEP to be focused on further education, employment, and independent living. Here's the problem. When parents say, I don't feel heard, it's because they may not be using these words that are right here, further education, employment, independent living, but they're worried about them every single day. So when parents say they don't feel heard, it's because they don't feel like their child is being prepared for the future that they know is ahead of them, or the future that they're guessing about, wondering about, worrying about, concerned about. So I want to make sure that the first thing that you fix immediately is going to be that parent input statement. I love to teach inside of the Master IEP Coach Mentorship others how to not only fix this in their own situation. Again, whether you're a teacher, parent, therapist, admin, we have everybody who joins the mentorship, not just to fix it there, but to teach others. Guys, there's 7 million people in special education, receiving special education services. We can't get this message out strong enough, alone. We have to do this together. That's what the Master IEP Coach Mentorship is all about. So fix number one, parent input statement, making sure that that parent input statement is addressing what needs to happen inside of the IEP so a child can be prepared for further education, employment, and independent living. I'm going to hop over to our comments here. I've got Amanda. Amanda, recognize your name. Tell me, are you a Master IEP coach? I'm pretty sure that you are. Or you're in the inner circle with me, one of the two. You're really struggling to get a good parent input statement. All right, so assuming that you're in the program, I think that you are, I recognize your name. You're going to want to go to the parent input training inside of the Master IEP Coach Mentorship. I can tell you right now, it's in module 4. I break it right down for you on how you can put together a parent input statement that covers your areas of social, emotional behavior, communication, and academics. And that we put all of this together into a piece. If you are struggling with that and you're not connected into one of the programs, let me know below so I can make sure that you get connected in there. Let's see. We have... We have Maria who is saying, hi, IEP, my son in school, New York, September, not allowed going, no traveling, no training, doesn't know what to miss. So autism IEP. Okay, so Maria, first of all, let me know, are you already in the Master IEP Coach Mentorship? Because we're going to be addressing a lot when it comes to what has happened in our school system, how to make up for things, and what is really reasonable to expect as we start to go forward and remedy a lot of the wrongs that have happened over the last year. And you're also asking me, what do I think about inclusion? I think inclusion is an experience. It's not a location. In fact, we cover that inside of the Master IEP Coach Mentorship in module 3. And we talk about how to create inclusive activities, inclusive experiences for everybody, regardless of where they are receiving their instruction. Meaning I was a self-contained special education teacher, loved my job. I love self-contained classrooms. I also love inclusion. You can have both. You can absolutely create an inclusive campus for a child, an inclusive schooling experience, and give them direct instruction outside of a general education classroom. Some of you guys might be thinking, then that's not true inclusion. It absolutely is. And I can show you how to do that. Before we hop into the second area that we're going to fix, go ahead. Again, tell me, where are you watching from? Put that down in the comments. And what is your role at the IEP table? I'm going to put the link down here because we've already hopped right into a lot of Master IEP Coach methods. I'm going to drop that down into the comments. Just give me a second here to get it for you. So you're going to see below a link to the Master IEP Coach mentorship, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. But I want to make sure that we talk about the next mistake. This is the second mistake that is happening right now, and it's huge, and it's having a negative impact on everybody, students, teachers, and parents, and that's accommodations and modifications without accountability. If a child is supposed to be receiving accommodations and modifications, which, by the way, I've never seen an IEP in 25 years that doesn't have accommodations and modifications. Okay, so if there's accommodations and modifications listed inside of the IEP, I want to know who's doing them. Who's responsible to make sure that a child gets extended time? Who's responsible for making sure the worksheets are modified? Who's responsible for that extra set of books at home because the learning through the screen is not always working, so we need the actual paper books in front of us? Who's responsible for making sure that the visuals are created? Who's responsible to make sure that the parent is trained in the behavior plan that the team has agreed upon? Who's responsible for that stuff? Right now, we've got pass the buck happening everywhere. Who's experiencing that? Where you don't know who's in charge of what, and you can't get a hold of anybody because we just talked about that communication is not going well. Nobody's communicating their concerns really well, and nobody knows who's supposed to be responsible for what. This is not just a virtual remote learning issue. This is something that happens all of the time. When you join us in the Master IEP Coach mentorship, we go through this section of accommodations and modifications. We talk about these finer points of the IEP that, quite honestly, you can't Google it and figure it out because nobody's doing it this way because it's not mandated by the law. What? Then why would I say that we need to do it? Because the law is the bare minimum of what a child is supposed to be receiving in their IEP. There's things that we can do above and beyond the law that actually makes the law easier to follow, and it makes the education more impactful for the student. It's a win-win-win, because I'm going to say parents, teachers, child, all the way around. When you learn how to implement beyond the law, where it doesn't cause more work, it causes more results. It's an amazing experience when you learn how to put things in like accountability for accommodations and modifications. I'm going to hop back over here to the comments and see Carrie's in Tennessee. She's a special educator. Hello, Carrie. Hello, Hannah. Great to see you from Oklahoma, special education teacher. That's one state I haven't been to. I need to get there. Tennessee, Carrie, I'd come down and see you in a heartbeat. Love going there. Let's see. We have Roanoke, Virginia parent. Hello, Amanda. That's from Virginia. Got it. I've passed through Virginia. I haven't really stopped there a whole lot for that. So there's something I want to tell you guys about the Master IEP Coach mentorship because I appreciate that you're here. So there's a couple of things I want you to know. If you've never heard of the Master IEP Coach mentorship before, that's okay. I'll let you know. I'm the founder of it, and it was built because of you. Because for 20 years, I was working on IEPs, I was speaking on stages, I was consulting for school districts, I was hired by parents, and I had a lot of people say, can you teach me to do what you do? Because I want to be the go-to person in my community. I want to be the one who's going to really make a difference long-term because nobody should have to go through what I've been through or that I'm going through right now. So I said no for a really long time, and then finally a few years ago, I said yes. It's time. So the Master IEP Coach mentorship was born. It is a trademarked program. It is not stuff that you Google. It is a 5-week-long online training session for parents and teachers who want to learn all things IEPs in a different way than you've ever read in blogs and books and listened to in seminars. And you not only want to help yourself, but you also want to help others. And I'm all about, I'm a special ed teacher at heart, which means that I always say, you show up, you participate, you get a reward, right? That's what we do. That's what we do as teachers. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you go to the enrollment link there that I just posted in the comments, you're going to see when you click on that page that you get one VIP coaching session with me. So I get to know who you are and help you become a Master IEP Coach one-on-one. Like I want to get to know you. So you get the 5-week program, but you get a one-on-one session. Because you're here right now, I'm telling you, you're going to get 2. And that's because I'm a research junkie. And what I read, in fact, I got my little sticky note here. I always have my little sticky notes so I can remember to tell you all the good things. The American Society of Training and Development said, if you commit to a program, you are 65% more likely to reach your goal than if you don't. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. If you're like, I need to do special ed different, I need to make a difference. Some of you guys have said, I want to become an advocate. There's a reason I don't use the word advocate, because that brings up a lot of negative feelings in special education. This is really the practice of collaboration when it comes to IEPs at a whole new level. So if you commit to the program, you're 65% more likely to reach your goal of doing something different or better in special education than if you didn't. But it also said, if you have a specific appointment for accountability, you are 95% more likely to reach your goal. I want you to win as a Master IEP coach in making that difference in special education, which means that because you're here, you get 2 VIP coaching sessions. What happens is you sign up, then you send me an email that says, I get 2. And that's just because you're here. Like here, like I see you, you're here, you're live. Thank you. You're here, you're digging in, you're committed. You are absolutely going to commit to the Master IEP Coach mentorship, and then you're going to meet with me one-on-one, and we're going to set your goals, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that you reach your goals as a Master IEP Coach. Okay, so you get 2 sessions because you're here. Let's go ahead and talk about the third mistake. You guys can ask me questions down in the comments about the Master IEP Coach mentorship or any other special education questions that you have. I see Estella's here from South Carolina. We have some Master IEP coaches in South Carolina. I know a lot about South Carolina and what's going on there. Carrie says Nashville's amazing. I know. I've been there within the last couple of years. Okay, I love it down there. I'd come down and see you, Carrie. And so let's go ahead and talk about this third mistake this week. Third mistake that's happening a lot is keeping low priority IEP goals. Low priority IEP goals are not necessary during this time of crisis. We've all kind of figured that out, right? How many of you guys have experienced a conversation on your IEP team that went something like, well, we have all these things to work on, but let's do these because they're more important, and we can do these either less or like not at all right now, and we'll come back to that later on. Have you guys had a conversation with your IEP team about like what to work on and what you can like wait to work on? If you can wait to work on it during this crisis, you need to take a hard look on if this is even something you should be working on at all. I get on my soapbox all the time about IEP goals that are not necessary for the future. Remember, I'm a special needs sibling. I have a brother who's 43 with Down syndrome. He is not going to count pennies at Target to go shopping. Are you? No. So that doesn't mean that you can't teach a child coins. What I'm saying is it doesn't need to be in the IEP as a high priority goal if there aren't a lot of other things mastered first. Does my brother, when he goes to Target, does he need to know if he has enough money in his bank account to buy what's in his cart so when he swipes his debit card, it works? Yes. Do you need to know that as an adult? Do you need to know if you have the money in the bank to afford the things in your cart? Let's just simplify to that. Do you need to know that? Yes. Yes. So are we working on budgeting and estimating and rounding and greater than, less than, and all those things? Are we counting pennies? Which one is going to have a bigger impact? Remember, we're talking about further education, employment, and independent living. We're talking about a limited time in the school district for those years, ages 3 to 22. We're talking about a limited amount of instruction time. We're talking about a limited amount of resources. We're talking about limits. We have limits. We can't we can't make extra hours in the school day. Can't do it. Okay. So should we be counting pennies, or should we make sure that there are functional academic goals that make sense for the long term? Who's in for that? Who would love to get rid of the activities that you're like, why are we even learning this? Guys, you can do that. That's absolutely how you customize an IEP. Yeah, you need to write a SMART goal. I get it. Everybody knows the term SMART goals. You need specific and measurable and actionable and all that. Okay, you write this picture perfect goal that has the best formula. But if it is what I call, I'm just going to call it out, if it is a junk IEP goal, it doesn't matter if it's written perfectly, if it's not relevant to preparing a child for the future. IEPs are not to teach a child to the test. IEPs are not about helping them be like the other kids. IEPs are about preparing a child for further education, employment, and independent living. It's an amazing privilege as a Master IEP coach to be able to prepare a child for further education, employment, and independent living, to help coach the team and move them towards this bigger picture of getting beyond just a regular old IEP meeting where we just move to the next step and guess what the next goal should be. All of these things that I'm talking about absolutely align with preparing a child for further education, employment, and independent living. Parents need to set the vision. Accountability needs to be inside of the IEP. Low priority goals have to be taken out. We need to focus on high priority. We need this to happen. If you're nodding your head and you're like, yes, please, let's have 2 VIP sessions, you and me. Sign up to become a Master IEP coach, and then we'll have those sessions, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can take the next steps in making that happen. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Hannah says, I signed up last week and have my first coaching session with you tomorrow afternoon. Yes, I'm so excited, Hannah. I cannot wait to meet you. I'm going to be asking you some questions like, what are your goals as a Master IEP coach? What's the scariest part for you for becoming a Master IEP coach? And what your current role is, all of those things. I want to get to know who you are, so be prepared. I cannot wait to connect with you. Jenna says, I wasn't able to get my first session until March 17th, but I'm pumped to be enrolled. Yes, so Jenna's getting 2 VIP coaching sessions. Also, Jenna, don't worry about it. March 17th is going to be fantastic for us to connect. And in the meantime, we're going to have so many opportunities to connect. It's going to be great. Carrie says, yes, just because it needs to be taught doesn't mean it needs to be a goal. If so, we would have 9 million goals. All right. I had a Master IEP coach, let's see, probably about a year ago. And she put in a question. So in the Master IEP Coach mentorship, you guys can ask questions 24/7. And then I put together trainings that right on the spot where I'm going to answer all of your questions. We're going to dig in together. And she said, I'm not even going to exaggerate. Okay. I cannot remember the exact number, but it was in is 23 IEP goals too many? And I was like, how would you work on 23 IEP goals all over the place, all different areas, all different everything? It was completely impossible. That's like working on a little bit of everything, which means you're really working on nothing. That's like when you're trying to measure everything and then you're measuring nothing because a little bit here, a little bit there. No, I want to see massive leaps. Who's ready to see some massive leaps in some IEP goal progress? I love massive leaps. All right, I'm going to actually share with you guys, for those of you that have never seen the Master IEP Coach mentorship kind of summary and sign up page, I'm going to share that with you. So just give me a second as I pull that up for you. There you go. And when you hop over to the Master IEP Coach mentorship, this is what you're going to see. I wrote you a little letter there. It tells you a little bit about what we're going to cover, why we're going to cover it. It tells you how actually 50% of the Master IEP Coach mentorship is about special education. The other 50% is about how you can get paid for your IEP expertise. Again, I mentioned there's 7 million families that are receiving special education services in some way. You are going to become an expert. You're going to help parents and teachers stress less, get more sleep, have less conflict, have more results, and really be able to make a difference in special education. Alex here, she loves to focus on inclusion. She works with twice exceptional students. I'm just going to give you some examples of what you can do as a Master IEP coach. Remember, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and put down in the comments again the link where you can sign up and get your 2 VIP coaching sessions. Alex here, she loves to work in the twice exceptional community. And she loves the collaborative approach and building inclusion for every child. What I love so much about this is she says, I'm so happy to be on this journey with you. And that's a big difference of our Master IEP Coach community versus other places where you might learn IEP strategies. We're actually an entire network behind the scenes working together to make sure that we are bringing the best of the best solutions to every family and school that we are helping. Angela West Brown does things a little bit differently as a Master IEP Coach. She loves to partner in the community. So for example, she was hired by Georgia State University Ideal Program as a Master IEP Coach to create a training for students with intellectual disabilities and their parents. So one of the big things that I want you to be able to do when you become a Master IEP Coach is be able to connect in your community at a whole new level. Who's tired of doing this all by themselves, right? That you feel like you're on an island all the time. What if you could partner with your local community college, your local university, your local nonprofit and say, listen, we can do things differently for families. Let me show you what I know, and let's put together a program in the community to help more families or more teachers make a difference in special education. Because let's just face it, the system's broken, but we have an opportunity to put it back together better than ever. Now, Nicole, she's more of a traditional Master IEP Coach. She loves to have families call her and say, listen, I'm struggling. The school's not hearing me. How am I going to make this work? I feel like I've tried everything. And Nicole's always like, no, you haven't tried everything. She brings her Master IEP Coach skills to the table. And in fact, she now gets references from the school districts that she works with. Let me say that again. Can you imagine a school actually telling a family to go hire what might be considered a traditional advocate to come to the table to help? Typically not, but Nicole's not a traditional advocate. She's a Master IEP Coach, and she's often thanked by special education directors for coming to the table and sharing solutions that work for both sides, but best of all, they work for the child and they put the child first. Our next person that I want to share with you is one of our Master IEP Coach progress coaches. That's her daughter, Hannah. This is Courtney. Courtney, she's a special needs mom who is also an SLPA. And I think if you see here what Courtney's talking about, if you're a special needs parent, you're going to relate to this. She was struggling. You know, there's hard days as a special needs parent. There's heartbreak of missed milestones. There's late nights of not knowing if she was doing enough. But she came into this program and found an entire community that has given her the confidence that she knows she's doing everything possible for her daughter right now. And she's continuing to dig in with the program, with the network. And like I said, she's even become a leader inside of the program. So you can start to trust yourself in making decisions and help others build a special education program that works for their child. It's so important for us to understand the parent perspective and what this truly means. This IEP is not just something that's legally required to make sure that everybody gets an education. This is truly the foundation for a family's well-being lifelong. This has a huge impact, not just during the school years, but forever. So the next person that I want to show you, and the reason I'm showing her to you is because she's got our swag. We've got our t-shirts and our certificates. That's Brianne. It's hanging out there. Brianne is a Master IEP Coach in Georgia. We've got this special needs mama who got her certificate and her t-shirt just in time for her son's IEP meeting. So when you do sign up to become a Master IEP Coach, we're going to work on what's relevant right now, like these 3 tips that I just talked about, making sure parent input statements are up to date, making sure that our IEP goals are of the highest priority, making sure there's accountability inside of the IEP because we've lost so much of that over the past year. Teach you how to help yourself and how to help others. And then you get fun stuff too. Like I said, you get 2 VIP coaching sessions, and you're going to get a t-shirt, and you're going to get a certificate, and you're going to get other things that I don't share. I'm the worst at keeping surprises, but I've been told by my team behind the scenes that I have to stop telling everybody all the fun stuff up front. So just know there are surprises. We start on February 22nd. It will last 5 weeks, and it's 100% flexible, and it's 100% yours for the lifetime of the program. Meaning that you get all the updates, you get all the access, and if life falls apart and you can't participate in all the live sessions that you want to over the 5 weeks, don't worry about it. I got you covered. All right, Carrie, Carrie, you're cracking me up. Not going to lie, I'm pretty pumped about a t-shirt. I wore mine today. You'll be getting one of these. So yeah, everybody loves a little swag. You know what? It makes us feel like part of the community. We know that we're together and working together towards a better future in special education. There's something about a t-shirt that just makes us feel like we're not alone. So Carrie, I'm excited for you too, to get that. So it'll be mailed with your certificate at the end of the program. Again, if you are watching the replay, keep the comments and the questions coming. Otherwise, hop right over to that Master IEP Coach enrollment page so you can get your bonuses in that. And don't forget, you've got 3 things that you can fix in an IEP right now: parent input statement, accountability of accommodations and modifications, and also get rid of the low priority IEP goals. Guys, our time is limited in special education. We got to make the most of it. Keep things high priority. I want to thank you guys for being here today. Again, my name is Catherine Witcher, and I'm founder of the Master IEP Coach Mentorship. I cannot wait to help you fix your next IEP. I'll talk to you guys soon.